It's been God knows how many days since you posted something on Instagram. You know you should get on there and show up, but you've spread yourself too thin and your ideas are all over the place or non-existent. Guilty as charged, but that ends today. I'll teach you how to get through this mess and create a content calendar. Let's do this. Hi my lovely people, it's Natalia and welcome back to my channel where I share super action ideas on content creation for entrepreneurs and creatives. And in today's video, we're putting an end to disorganized, inconsistent social media profiles because I'm going to show you how to create an easy content calendar to harness the chaos. When you're a creator of any type, whether you're running a blog, you're producing here on YouTube, or whatever other platforms you're on, there's always quite a bit to manage in terms of what you're producing. You can create a video for YouTube supported with a blog post, then create pins for Pinterest to drive more traffic to it, reach out to your mailing list in an email, then announce this YouTube video on Twitter and share some Instagram stories, create a snippet for IGTV, and then there's your regular content outside of promoting that one video. So regular postings on Instagram, TikTok, now Clubhouse. It can be completely overwhelming, and honestly, no one has the brain capacity to remember it all. So this is where a content calendar comes into the rescue. And honestly, it's not just for this hefty process that needs to be managed in a calendar, it's essential even if you're managing just one platform. So what's coming up in this video? I'll be talking about what a content calendar actually is and why you need it, what tools you can use to create a content calendar, how to use it, and maybe set one up for yourself. I'm also going to give you a free content calendar template, which I personally use in Notion, so be sure to stay with me till the very end. Ready? All right, let's go. What is a content calendar and why you need one yourself? So what a content calendar is simply a well-organized publishing schedule of all of your content. It's basically your content production headquarters, and it has all the captions, images, dates, tags, hashtags, and the whole process is laid out in this one place. And I know it may sound like a big commitment, especially when you're just starting out or if you're just running one profile, but let me tell you, it pays off in the long run. If you make a commitment to your content calendar and actually use it, it will free up a lot of your time. It can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. And I know that if you're a creative person, any structures like this may feel very rigid or limiting, basically not fun, but with a system like that, you can actually become more creative. First of all, you don't need to think, what do I post next? Do I need anything else for this post? Or when was this supposed to come out? And all that mental space that would have been taken by these questions is now completely liberated. You can fill it with your new fresh ideas and actually take the time to brainstorm or focus on your business instead. In one of my videos, I talk about how to get endless content ideas, and there I mentioned you need to have a system to capture those ideas and create a database. It's quite a good video to watch next because it will help you fill your calendar, so I'll leave a link down below in the description box too. So my content calendar doubles as a content ideas database as well. I use it to keep all of my video or post ideas to choose from easily when it's time to plan out content for the month. And when something pops in my head, one of you guys requests a video, there's a question that gets asked over and over again, or I get a random burst of inspiration when I'm grocery shopping, it instantly lands in my content calendar. And of course, it doesn't mean that I'm standing there with a box of strawberries, typing out the caption, assigning a date, and adding hashtags. I'm just putting it in the ideas section, which you'll see in a moment, and it's there to be picked up at the right time. And while we're still at the shop holding on to the strawberries, it's not like I'm pulling out a physical calendar or notepad, which takes us to what tools can you use to create your content calendar. I personally use a digital tool rather than a pen and paper version for my calendar, and the reason is very simple. I want to have access to it wherever I am and be able to change things in there instantly. And when inspiration strikes, I don't want to be looking for my notebook to write it down. And if I want to post more spontaneously or something important is happening then and there, it's just so much easier to change things up in a digital tool rather than in a physical planner. And if you're working with a team, a digital calendar also means everyone has access to the ideas and they can chip in at any time too. At the same time, I do love the pen to paper experience and still use it from time to time during my planning and execution, but it all lands on my digital calendar in the end. Since I want to start creating more for my personal Instagram profile, I'm going to take you behind the scenes on what the planning session looks like for me in another video, so definitely hit the subscribe button and notification bell to be ready for this one. And of course, if you're curious about something in particular, leave a question below this video and I'll try to answer it then. But if you're like me and like to have things organized digitally, there are a few options for you. The most common and basic option is probably Google Sheets. Some people choose Trello, which is a board style app, and there's also Asana for someone who wants more flexibility and to manage tasks at the same time. And two of the latest crazes, Airtable and Notion. I've personally not tried Airtable, which is a spreadsheet-based app only on steroids, but I am obsessed with Notion. It's just one of those discoveries that has changed the way I manage, well, everything. It's where I take notes, set goals, strategize, and so much more, and it's only natural that I decided to manage content from there as well. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by Notion, in case you're wondering why I'm praising it to such extent, but I just love it so much. 2 weeks ago, I explained my content creation process and what I do to each piece of content to get it published, and I've specifically shown you how I do it for YouTube. I manage other socials in a content calendar in Notion, so today we'll be diving deep into this part of content creation here. How to use a content calendar and how to set it up for yourself. The way I used to use a calendar was in a board view combined with the actual calendar view. And in a classic Kanban style board, you have a few columns which represent different stages of your project. The most basic ones are to do, in progress, and done. Within these columns, you put different cards with your actual tasks, or in this case, posts. And I used to use the boards in a different way, having each column represent a different platform. So Facebook, Instagram, blog, etc. And I use the calendar to see how it's reflected with the actual dates. I've since moved away from this method mostly because I needed more complexity. And apart from that, I needed to find a way that works for me personally and the way my brain computes all the data. And this is where Notion exceeded my expectations. So let me show you what my content calendar currently looks like. So this is my content calendar workspace in Notion. And before I start explaining, I've got a free template which you can just grab for yourself, and it's linked down below. You can just duplicate it to your Notion and start using it straight away. My main view of choice is now the general board, so very similar to what I mentioned just a moment ago, and it encompasses all the platforms I'm producing for apart from YouTube. And the reason is YouTube is my focus platform, so I don't really want to mix it up with other content. And it looks very similar to this board, but it's got other properties specific to video production. And if you're curious, you can see how I manage it in the content creation process video. So this general board is based on the Kanban methodology, and I've got all the columns representing different stages of content development for social media. And the first column is for ideas, and this is where all my potential posts are stored. Then I've got the going ahead column, which has all the posts that have already been approved to get created. And usually at this stage, I know the dates for the posts and they're visible on the specific cards, but I'll get to it later. Then I have the writing caption stage because I start all my content with the actual writing rather than an image. And next, there's the choosing image column where I either choose a photo or design a graphic depending on the type of content it is. Then it's choosing hashtags, so pretty self-explanatory, and then ready to schedule where I will actually upload the post to the platforms to be posted later or use a scheduling app like Later. And then once the post is published, it lands in the published section. So as you can see, we have small cards within the columns, and these are our individual posts. And the icons represent different platforms that the content is created for, so obviously a bird for Twitter, etc. But if I wanted to, I can just hit properties here in the bar above the board and select some options I want displayed. So if I turn on the platform, as you can see, it adds the platform to the view so I can read what's in it. But frankly, at this point, I'm pretty used to the icons and I've chosen them myself, so I don't really need this tab in here. So let's turn it off. And what I do choose to have displayed is the pillar, which indicates my content pillar so that I know what category of post it is. And this way I know at a glance if I've not overdone it with some posts from a similar pillar or if I need to mix it up with other subjects I normally talk about. I've had some questions about what content pillars are and how to use them, so if you'd like me to explain them in another video, let me know in the comments below. If I want to create a new post idea, I can just hit the arrow here in the corner and choose from one of the templates I created from different platforms. And let me show you an example with an Instagram post and you'll see what is actually inside of the cards. So as you can see, when I select new Instagram post, a new page opens up and I can display it in full view. So let's click on open as page here in the top left corner and it shows the whole thing. The small view is quite useful when you're doing quick edits, so it's great that the option is here. So first, you've got the icon here, which on my board represents the platform. And then we've got the title, so let's say new IG post. And then we've got some different properties, and these are all the options I could show on the card when I was showing and hiding the platform label. We've got our status here, which represents the columns, and then we have the platform, and when you click on it, you can change it and add more platforms, and you can change the color of the labels here and the properties as well. So then I've got a post date, pillar again, similar to the platform tab. I can just choose a label from all my different categories. We've got type, and then a small checklist for images, captions, hashtags, alt text, and I can just tick them here when they're ready. Then that's something that I personally use to be able to see what content I was promoting. So this tab relates to my YouTube management board, and I can just type in any of my videos and it will link it in here. And the same with the resources. So if I'm linking to something, I can just add it here. Of course, this is something that's specific to my process, so you don't need this if you don't want it. And then I include any shout outs, mentions, and a post URL, which I update here once it's published. If you're working in a team, you can actually add a property to assign different people to this page here like this. But I'm just on my own, no team yet, so I don't really need this. But I feel like it's good to know that this option exists. And for teams, Notion is paid per member per month, and you can share a collaborative workspace this way. You don't need it, of course. Notion has tons of features available for free, and I use the free version myself. And these are all the properties that I personally included, but you can add your own of different types. So text, single select, multi-select, you can add file attachments, email, phone numbers, so many options. And below, I've got a section to actually flesh out my post, and this part is loaded automatically from the different templates, so it varies depending on the platform I chose. But for Instagram, I have a toggle line for my caption in here, a place for my image, hashtags, and alt text. So let's write something in the caption. So, what a beautiful day in Edinburgh. Have a great Sunday. And obviously, I would create something a bit more elaborate, but as an example, here it goes. Then let's upload an image. I already have a frame that just lets me upload it when I click on it. So choose an image and voila. And the great thing about Notion is that you can upload unlimited amount of files as long as the individual file doesn't go above 5 megabytes. And that's in a free plan. And you can actually download the file from here as well. And you could also link to a Google Drive file so you don't actually need to upload anything in there. And I do it so that it displays in my gallery view, but I'll get to that later. And then I add hashtags here so that I have them at hand when I'm scheduling or posting, and an alt text because we want to make our content as accessible as possible. All right, so back to our calendar, and this is the point where you may ask, hey, why do you actually call it a calendar when it's just a board? Well, allow me to explain. This part of Notion is magic. When you go to this sweep button here, you can actually switch between different views and set up completely custom ones for yourself. As you can see, I've got a ton of different ones set up for myself, and it's just because this is what my brain needs, but of course, not everyone needs as many. I'll explain some of them in a moment, but now let's focus on the calendar view. So if you click on it, you can see a lovely clean calendar with all the different dates and your posts on it as well. And in here, you'll be able to see only the posts which you assigned a date for, and you've got different properties displayed so that I see what needs to be done still for the post. And if you remember the little checklist, this is exactly what it is. Of course, if you go to properties at the top again, you can just turn it on and off. And I can move things easily on here just as I can with the boards, and it's super handy when I'm quickly reshuffling some posts to allow for more spontaneous content, as I mentioned at the beginning. And I can have a few things on the same day, so this is where I plan most of my content. If I click on a plus next to the date, I can quickly add a new post from here, and if I scroll down, you can see the different templates, so I can just apply it and go. If I want to use some of my ideas which don't have a date, I can just click here on the no date button and it pulls up all the different ones from the board. So I choose one and it pops on today's date. Then I just drag it where I need it, and I can just get back to the board view in here. Give me a second. And you can see that it updated the date on this particular post, so it all syncs up together across your database. Now onto the other views. I also use different board views for various platforms, and they're the exact same board as my main board, but with filters applied so that it only shows the post for this particular platform. And below, I've got some table boards, and these are quite interesting. These are basically filtered out tables for all the posts that either need a caption, need an image, or need hashtags. And that's again based on whether the we checkboxes are ticked on a post. And I use them to work on my content quickly. So when I have a calendar breakdown ready, I'll go to the table view for captions, work on these, tick all the checklists, and once the table is cleared, I know that there are no more captions left to write. So let me click here and show you. So I've got this new IG post that we created here. So click on it, and I would type out the caption here, which we've done before, and then just tick the box here in the properties. And as you can see, the post disappeared from the list here. And same applies for the image view. So I just add an image, tick the box, and it's gone. And once I've got all the hashtags, I change the status to ready to schedule, and that's my content sorted. And another view I use is the published posts table, and that's all the posts that have gone live. And I see some of the different properties here, so the pillars, for example, and I can quickly review it if I maybe need a few other types of pillars in my upcoming posts. I also update the URL here because I love for Notion to also work as my content inventory, and it's so much easier to search for a particular post, especially when we're talking about Instagram, but other platforms too, of course. And this way, if you ever need to refer to a post, send it to someone, embed it in a blog post, you can just quickly type it in the search bar and it pops up. And I highly recommend you have a system to retain those as well. And this view works perfectly for this purpose. Next, I've got the gallery view created specifically for Instagram. So again, filtered out by the platform just to show the Instagram posts. And this is how I look at my feed in a way. And I don't pay that much attention to my feed just because I don't believe it needs to be, perfectly crafted, balanced, etc. And, at the end of the day, how often do people actually go to the profile itself and review it? And besides, I don't want to limit my spontaneity in any way if I think a post doesn't look good on the feed. That being said, I do make sure that the feed has a cohesive tone and style. And what I mean by this is that I edit my photos in the same tonality, kind of same colors. So basically I have presets to keep the visuals unified. I'll try to differentiate different types of photos as well. So not to include all the same ones in a row, like, 5 photos of flat lays, 3 selfies, 7 portraits or something like that. And of course, I don't obsess over it. And if something looks similar next to the other post, I won't go crazy swapping it just for that particular reason. Same goes for graphics like quotes or carousels, which I do plan on posting on my personal account. And I want to make sure they're enough on the feed, but that they are nicely spaced out. And that goes in line with my pillars as well. So basically mix up your content to keep it interesting, but don't limit yourself if you really want to post something. I know some people use Preview or similar apps to see how their Instagram feed will look like, but this gallery view in Notion pretty much solves this for me, so no need to upload anything separately. And then I have a few views for ideas specifically. And again, for you, it may probably be completely redundant, but I like to use those when I'm brainstorming content ideas for a particular platform. And since it's a table again, it's a bit easier for my brain to review and add new ideas rather than on a board in the main view. But on the go, I just use the main board to add ideas there. Bonus tips. As bonus tips, first and foremost, I would say use the calendar. If you're anything like me, it's easy to get excited, set up a calendar, fill it with data, and then forget all about it. But believe me when I say actively using your content calendar keeps you on track, saves you time, relieves mental debt, improves your process, and most importantly, helps you stay consistent. And at the end of the day, this is arguably the most crucial thing when creating content. Showing up regularly, that's the bottom line. And apart from that, try to be detailed when filling all the different tabs for your content, attach files where you need them, and change dates if you need an extension. And when you get all these things in place, Notion really becomes your own command post for all things content. If you don't have a process for creating content at the moment and you're starting from zero, go ahead and grab this template for yourself. It's completely free and you can adjust it how you want it, delete the views or templates you don't need, and just start filling it from there. If you're not sure how to do something in there, just leave a comment down below and I'll help you out. The link to the free Notion template is in the description box down below. Now that you're all set with your brand sparkling new calendar, let me help you fill it with some effective, engaging content. Check out this video to never struggle to find ideas again, but before you start creating content, you need to know who you want to speak to, what you need to focus on. Basically, you need a strategy to get results. Make sure to watch this one to learn how to create a content marketing strategy for yourself, and I've got a free workbook which will guide you through the process. I'll leave the links down below as well. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and today I'm making a commitment to consistently create content for my personal Instagram profile. Are you with me? Drop a comment down below saying I'm in to let me know that you're going to commit as well, and hit that like button for good measure. Subscribe to my channel to push your content marketing forward. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I see you there trying to educate yourself and hustling to get better. I really, really appreciate you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.